If you practice it, the body literally will begin to respond to the mind. It's like training an animal. It finally relaxes. And when that occurs, your response to people and circumstances in your life will be different because...
Hello and welcome to the Pacific Channel. I'm your host, Steve Doherty. And in today's video, it's another video clip about Dr. Joe Dispenza talking about the usual thing about meditation and how to get the best and the most out of it. At first they start talking about how to unlearn things, how to unprogram yourself, because we've all been programmed to behave and to be certain ways. And he basically says that it's all through trial and error and that you just got to go out there and try it. And he also talks about the difference between being conscious and unconscious. He also asks the question, how do you change the world? Well, you change the world by changing yourself. And how do you change yourself? You start asking yourself questions about how can you do this better? How can you meditate better? How can you bring it out into the world better? How can you bring those good emotions into your life? How can you keep from responding negatively towards other people? What are your automatic negative thoughts and feelings that cause you to react and to feel a certain way? Because those are the things that keep us from being able to progress. So it's an evolution for all of us. The point is to just keep trying and keep going forward. He also makes a point that it can take about 2 years or longer to create a dis-ease. So you can't expect only 2 meditations to cure your whole problem. So it takes time, and he basically says we're not that good yet to be able to just instantly change ourselves and to heal ourselves. So let's listen to Dr. Joe explain it now.
How do you unlearn? Because I guess if we think about addiction, for many of us, this is just living in the past. We're just repeating behaviors that we've done in the past that made us change our state, that gave us that dopamine boost. I get you can meditate, you can feel that elevated emotion with a very, very high degree of emotional intensity, but how do you go about becoming conscious and unlearning those previous patterns?
It's trial and error.
Yeah.
You got to go out into life and try it out. Okay, I've changed my internal state. You could have a great meditation. You can connect, your heart could open. This happened to me. You could open your heart, you'd be amazing, you feel like the day is invincible. And you get up, and then the rest of your day, you're unconscious, the 15 hours of your day. So you're going to weigh 1 hour of being in a different state of being against 15 hours of you being unhappy and rushing and in a program. So then, how many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That's called change. How many times do we have to go unconscious to the point where we no longer go unconscious and we stay conscious? That's the moment of change. Now, if you're truly out of the bleachers and you're on the playing field, and this happens to a lot of people in our work, they say, I really believe that this is the truth. I really believe that you could heal yourself. I really believe you could change your life. I've seen the testimonials. I just never believed that it could happen to me. Now, this is a big moment. Now you're really stepping on the playing field. So a person who starts doing their work, they're not interested in healing. The person who's truly interested in this work, they understand that the only way they can heal is that they have to change. They're not saying, I'm going to wait for my wealth or my healing to happen in order for me to feel grateful and be joyful in life. They're saying, if I feel grateful, my healing's going to begin, right? If I feel more whole, then there should be some change in my gene expression. So they've studied the content, they've studied the information, and now it becomes extremely practical. So they may have a great meditation, and we've seen this happen to many people. They sleep better, they have less pain, they have more energy, but their blood values never change. Now, they don't say, oh, I feel better, but I'm failing, this doesn't work. They say, what is it about me that's stopping this from completely healing? Okay, how am I in my waking day? The moment you begin to ask that question, you turn on the frontal lobe, and the frontal lobe is the seat of your conscience. Now, the moment you start looking at the end of your day, how did I do? This is such an important question. How did I do today? Did I fall from grace? When did I lose it? And who did I lose it with? If I had another opportunity, how would I do it differently? They'll tell you, I've seen them stand on the stage and tell their story and say, I had to start really watching myself in my life.
Yeah.
How I was emotionally responding to my ex, how I was emotionally responding to my financial problems. I had to really, really pay attention to that. And that takes an enormous amount of energy and an enormous amount of awareness to stop the program, right? So you forget and you go, damn, I went unconscious there. Now, you didn't lose, you didn't fail. You just became conscious. Now, if you keep becoming so conscious of your unconscious states, you're outside the program. You're only in the program when you're unconscious.
Yeah.
The moment you're conscious, you can objectify your subjective self. So you can see yourself through the eyes of someone else. So the learning process comes from the mistake. The brain learns by mistakes and surprises. I've made enough of them in my life. It's just whether you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
You want to do it again, you're back in the habit, back in the routine. If you say, this is it, the next time that happens, I am not going to do that. Not for anybody else, but because those emotions actually, my response to that person or that circumstance is actually weakening the organism. Is that person, that circumstance worth it? So then it's evolution. It's evolution. The challenge then has to be met with a greater level of mind. Now, if you're just doing your meditation just because you want to please God or do the right thing or feel good about yourself, that's going to get stale after a while because it's just going to become another routine between your coffee and your shower and your emails and your drive to work, and people aren't present, right? So the familiar past, conditioning is based on the past, that thought and the feeling, but habituation is the programming them to predictable future. That's the known. So if you teach a person how to find the present moment, that's where the unknown exists. And that takes a lot of energy and awareness. And yet, if you practice it, the body literally will begin to respond to the mind. It's like training an animal. It finally relaxes. And when that occurs, your response to people and circumstances in your life will be different because you overcame yourself at the beginning of the day. So I'm an early morning guy just like you. I get up really early. Why? Because nobody bothers me.
What time?
4:30-ish, somewhere around there.
And then what do you do?
I get in my think box.
What's a think box?
Well, okay, what am I doing today? But I'm not going to sit down and just jump into a meditation. What thoughts before I go into this meditation am I going to stay away from? Well, what circumstances, what things I can think about later that aren't that important to me? What emotions, what memories am I going to stay away from? If I go there, I know what that's going to do. I mean, why am I doing this meditation? What am I going to be doing? How am I going to do it? So I just like anybody who does anything really well, you get in your think box and you organize what you're going to do.
Are you doing this in bed or are you having coffee first? Or?
I just get up, move around a little bit, do a few things, maybe write some notes down, because then I can assign meaning to the act. I can stay conscious when I'm in it.
So you do all this before your meditation? Okay.
Always. But then when I get in my play box, there's no thinking. I did all my thinking in my think box.
You did all your thinking in your think box. Is that also when sometimes we wake up and there's these kind of thoughts that are just popping up? Is you writing down a few things, is you processing them, a way of sort of quietening down the noise so that you can drop into meditation?
Yeah, so let's say I have 10 Zoom meetings in one day. I look at my calendar and I go, okay, none of that, I'm going to get to all of that. This is not my time to think about the known. I know all this stuff is going to work out. I know how the Zoom meetings are going to go. Okay, but let me just make sure when I'm in these certain Zoom meetings that I'm leading with my heart and I'm being the person that I want to be as an example for my team. I want to make sure I'm communicating really clearly. I'll make time for this, that. Okay, I get all that out of the way. Well, that's all the known stuff. But when I come to execute now, well, what am I going to do to open my heart today? Like, what am I really going to do? When I do the breath to bring energy into my brain, what am I bringing? Like, where am I going to go to that? What do I want to experience? How do I do that? Let me just review that. Okay, then I'm going to open my focus. I'm going to go deep into nothing. I'm going to go as far as I can. And then when I get to that point, then I'm going to create. And when I create, this is what I'm going to create. So I'm not thinking in when I'm there, what should I create? I've already got that all worked out. I'm rehearsing. I'm getting clear on what I'm going to do. I'm getting clear on what I'm not going to do. I'm getting clear on how my last meditation was and how I want to evolve my next meditation. So then when I get to my play box, I'm not analyzing and thinking, because if I'm analyzing and thinking, I can't do it, right? So I get that worked out. If it takes me half an hour, I allow for 2 hours for myself. If it takes me half an hour to get very clear, and then sometimes there's disturbing things that I have to get through because there's meetings and stuff like that. But I just go, that is all always going to work out. This is you. This is your time.
It's interesting, Dr. Joe, that for many of us, for many people, meditation is almost like your pre-day ritual, right? So you meditate to prime yourself for your day, how you're going to be. But when you talk about your morning routine, you have a pre-meditation ritual.
Yeah.
Which I find really, really interesting.
Because I want to get into it. I want to assign meaning.
Yeah.
To what I'm doing. When you assign meaning to the act, you turn on your prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex says, "Quiet. Everybody that's not involved in this intention, settle down." So the frontal lobe will actually lower the volumes of the circuits in the brain that are disturbance. So when you assign meaning to something, you get more value from it. So I just learned that if I just get in and just do my meditation, sometimes they're wonderful because I've done it enough times. But if I just drop in, it doesn't have any meaning. If it doesn't have any meaning, then it just becomes another routine. You're doing your meditation, but you're thinking about your coffee. You're drinking your coffee. You're already thinking about your emails. The brain's an anticipation machine, and we lose our free will to that kind of programming. So when I get my think box really clear, it's just like when I used to golf. I would just kind of look at where I was going to hit the ball. I was thinking about the club I was going to use, how I was going to swing, how I was going to feel. I work it all out in my think box. When I get my play box, I've done all my thinking. Now I'm just going to execute, right? So we found that when people do that, we do this in our week-long events. I'll always say to the audience, all right, after we come back from the break, so turn to someone now, and I want you to have a conversation about what you love about yourself, that you did really well in that last meditation. What did you stick? What felt right for you? What did you execute really well? I want you to articulate that and remind yourself, reproduce that same level of mind, install the neurological hardware by firing and wiring so you can step into that footprint and do that again in the next meditation. Then I say to them, now let's light a match in a dark place. If you had another opportunity to do another meditation, what would you bring? What would you work on improving? What would you become aware of that you don't want to do, that you did in that last meditation? Let's get really clear about what you're not going to do. And if you had another opportunity, what you would do. And somehow that kind of shapes the brain for the next experience, for them to evolve their experience, because they're in the experience now. They're like, oh yeah, I'm not getting off the exit of my job. I'm not getting off the exit of my ex. I'm going to go straight. I'm going to just keep, you can make those turns in the beginning. It's normal. But you start making those turns, and then all of a sudden you're realizing, I'm not going to make those turns, and you drive right past the exit. I drive right past, I'm too old. I drive right past, I'm too out of shape. I drive right past, my disease isn't going to go away. There's something wrong with me. You just keep driving past those, and the next thing you know, you run into something big. So it's trial and error, you know? I mean, this is like, it's so important for people to realize if it took them 2 years of chronic stress to develop their health condition, it's not going to go away in 2 meditations. You know what I tell them? I say, you're not that good. You're just not that good. Like, just get real here. Like, 1 foot in the quantum world, 1 foot in the real world. I'm a pragmatist. I don't want to talk about quantum superimposition if it has no value in my life. I want to talk about what it is that evolves my experiences. So if you're truly in the game of change, then you would be rehearsing how you were going to be in the next Zoom meeting if you were really off in the last one. If you wouldn't say, oh, I'm this way because of that person or that circumstance. That's that program of being a victim saying that person or that circumstance is actually controlling the way I feel and think. My response to that person is making me sick. It's actually weakening the organism. Okay, the next time I have that opportunity, if I'm truly in the game of evolution, let's see if I can stay in my heart, and the whole time I'm not going to react. That would be a victory for me. That would be a victory. So then at the end of your day, you go, I actually kind of love myself. I actually got my behaviors to match my intentions. I got my actions equal to my thoughts. I had a new experience, and it actually felt good. Hey, I'm going to do that again. And you start doing it with your children. You start doing it, opening the door for the person who's walking out of the office building. You start letting people go ahead of you in traffic. You're just cool. You're no longer in that vigilant state. Now, get enough people doing that, all of a sudden you start noticing your wife a little bit differently, or Röntgen's all of a sudden starting to smile a little bit more. He seems way more relaxed and chilled. People are going to start getting relaxed and chilled around you because mirror neurons in the tribe say, hey, there's somebody doing something that I'd like to do. I just need evidence to be able to do it. And all of a sudden, you start developing a community of people that start behaving differently. What's the significance of that? That's called emergence. An emergent consciousness is that everybody's behaving differently. And that is what's going to change.
So basically what Dr. Joe is saying is that if you want to heal yourself, that shouldn't be the thing that you are really going after, because it's one of those situations or one of those things where if you try too hard to go for exactly what it is that you want, you're going to offer up too much resistance out into the universe, and that's going to slow it down or stop it or keep it from happening. So the best way to think about it is, what can I do to change myself in order to heal myself? So you're not going directly for the healing. You're not trying to figure out exactly what should I do in order to heal myself. You're thinking about it from the perspective of, how do I change who I am? How do I be a better person? How do I be kinder? How do I bring a better vibration out into my daily life? Who is it who consistently upsets me, who I can have a different response with next time? And then it's just a matter of practicing that. It's a matter of going out there and doing the work in your daily life to the point where you are happy with who you are and how you're acting, and you can see improvement. So it's all about process improvement, and it's really about setting up a system of improving yourself. Systems are a great way to improve yourself because it involves monitoring how you're doing, inputs, outputs, and the process within the system of transforming whatever it is that you're trying to transform. In this case, you're trying to transform your negative emotions into something positive. So that's one of the key things that he talks about. The other thing too is he also says that learning comes from making mistakes. And that's very true. Failure is a price that you pay for success. So go out there and make mistakes. Try and try and try again. It takes a while to get this to work, and it's not an easy thing to do because so many of us, all of us really, have been programmed to be otherwise, to have these automatic conditions. I mean, your personality got set from childhood practically. So you'll start being better to yourself and everyone else around you. That's how you change the world. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you feel so inclined, please leave a comment below about how you have progressed in trying to improve yourself every single day. Thank you, and have a great day or night.